Go.
Okay, so
No.
today
Yep. Okay.
we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the toilet. Seems that somebody that I have spoke to recently didn't really quite understand the simple toilet as well as I thought most people understood it. So I'm going to kind of go through, see if I can kind of clear up the simple toilet for you. Most of us recognize it as what it is. Most don't know what it consists of. So what we got to think of is in the tank, we start out with the water. Inside of this tank, you've got, and this is a used one, but it's still in good shape, you've got some sort of a ball float. This ball float is what controls your water level in the back of your tank as it flows in. You can also have another type of tank. You may look in yours and find this style, but it's still a basic float that turns the water on and off, and it would take the place of this one. Also in the toilet, you'll find the handle, and you'll find down inside the rubber flapper or some sort of a thing that closes off the hole on the bottom of it. This is where the water will go out to flush your toilet. So when you push the handle, of course the chain hooks up, allows the water to flow out of your tank into your toilet, and you're good. When you shut it back off again, the water comes back into this tube mechanism, flows out and fills this up. This little thing right here is the overflow tube, which also leads down into your tank. So if your tank ever fills up with water in here and goes above this level, what it'll do is simply flow out of this tube and back into your tank and fill up. That keeps you from overflowing the backside of your toilet. The other thing is this little rubber hose that comes off of it. A lot of times you'll find these things, they'll just be laying out here wherever, but they are actually supposed to go in here, because what that does when you flush your toilet, that actually allows the water to go back in, and that's what gives you the base of your water in your toilet. So when you, after you flush, you actually have water back in your toilet. Otherwise your toilet would be dry and you wouldn't have anything there to catch your waste. So that's the basics of this. So from that, the water, when you pull the handle, allows the water to go out, and then after it goes out, it just simply goes into this hole. And as you see, it's not really a very big hole. It kind of hits what looks like a stop to it. And what's really happening, if you put this back in place, which is what you do, it actually comes in and goes around your toilet, and your water hits into a channel that comes around this portion of your toilet. When it does that, up underneath here is a bunch of little holes. I don't know if we can get a camera in there to show it, but there's a lot of little holes that you can see up underneath here. These holes allow the water to flow into your toilet fast enough to create a level in your toilet that will cause it to flush. And what you're actually trying to do when you put water in your toilet, you can look at this one, and it gives you what they call big old gooseneck here. When the water fills up, it stays at a level below this, which traps any kind of gases coming from your septic system, because you don't want that coming into here. That'll actually flow to this level. So the tank inside of there sits at a level here. When you add water, it builds water up here, forcing the water to go up over the top of this, and because of that action, creates actually a vacuum coming through this back side of the pump, which sucks the remaining of the water out of it and gives you that gurgling sound trying to go. And the gurgling is where that vacuum is breaking when you don't have enough water to still flow through that siphon action. And that's what carries it on down and takes away your waste. So that's the basic operation of it. This mounts to the floor, and then the seal between these are going to be one of a couple of things. There generally is a wax ring. That's kind of the old style of sealing it up. The odors won't come through it. It's got a small flange on it that actually sits down into the pipe. And then there's also, let me take it back apart and tip this over a little bit for you so you can see. Underneath this, the bottom side of the toilet, you can just see there's a simple hole in the bottom of it, and then your wax ring, like one of these, comes in a little package, and it just basically sits right up in, this way here around, sits in here, and you take all this plastic out or away, and that's what seals it, and then your waste is directed down through the bottom of the wax ring. They also have a newer style that they've started using on these. which is a rubber ring. It has all the basic same components. It's rubber though instead of wax, and it just builds a seal on this. So you want to make sure that's good and clean before you put this on. And that compresses down with rubber and foam to make up that seal so that you still don't get any sewer gases through your toilet or other things. Okay, so that's the basics. So now the question is, what really does the toilet need to work? You don't even need the back part of this toilet to make it work. The toilet's a very simple little thing, really. So what we need to do with the toilet is we can kind of demonstrate what it takes to make a toilet flush. Excuse me. Okay, so we took a second here. We filled up a bucket of water. We got it ready. This is going to be kind of a sample as to how it works. You see inside of the toilet here, without the tank or anything on it, we don't need that to flush the toilet. The water in here is up to a level where it's starting to flow out, so I knew it was full. That's as full as it's going to be. Now a toilet, if you're going to flush it, you can take this water and you can pour it in nice and slow. And it'll just sit there and just kind of go. What you really need is enough water though to flow in fast enough that it actually creates that vacuum and sucks it out. That shows you that there has to be a sufficient amount of water going in, and the only way you're going to do that is through these pipes here, and there's also another pipe, or in this particular toilet has another little one down at the bottom that kind of gives you a little bit of a force that'll help blow that up through there when it comes in the regular way. But you really don't need it, as you see. Just a regular old toilet will flush just fine. Just add the water when you're done with it, so you don't have any power or water. You can fill this back up to the level where it would normally sit, and it'll sit right there just fine until you need a flush again. But this is a good way to test the toilet. A lot of times you'll have a toilet that they say, you know, just don't really go down good. You'll flush it, but it just doesn't ever clear the bowl. In the older toilets and stuff, it's usually a sign that you'll have a buildup of something, calcium or whatever, in your water, and it's plugging the holes up underneath this. So a lot of times you can take a coat hanger or something and just reach up in there, clean all those little ports out, and see if it works. The way to test it, like I say, is to take a bucket of water, a gallon of water, something like that, dump it in very rapidly and see if it takes it on down. If it is, then it's a sure sign that you're having a problem getting the water from your tank into your bowl fast enough to actually create that vacuum to suck it clear. And for a demonstration, we'll go ahead. I'm not going to mount this tank back on here, so we'll have a little water leakage around it. Oops. I'll set it on the right way, I guess. Make it look more effective. We're just going to kind of line it up, set it in place, and we'll fill the back of this up to show how to do a regular toilet flush. So a normal toilet would be filled up. In the newer toilets, they use less water than the old original toilets do. We're going to add just a little bit more from the garden hose. And so this would represent that coming in. And as this is coming in, we've talked about this overflow tube. So as we look in the toilet, you can see that if we push it right straight to the overflow tube, the water starts trickling in. That shows you've got a flow into your toilet, as I was showing, which keeps it from running over. Now the slow trickle going in there won't flush your toilet because I don't have enough force in there. It's just going to fill your bowl up. And then your bowl will seek its level of the gooseneck, and it'll stop going out of the toilet. So when you place when you try to flush, you'll watch the little float in the back of it. When I push the handle, it allows the water to go down through the toilet. That little float will stay up for just a little bit. It'll drop back down, allows the water to get into the back of the toilet, and you're good. Now, me, I'm kind of one of those that says, okay, and at this point you would actually bring this back up too. You can see that the tank is not completely full. That's because we're not feeding up through this to fill the tank back up again through your overflow. So you wouldn't have sufficient water there for waste You want to really keep that in there. So if your tank ain't filling up, make sure your hose is going in there. Make sure you're flowing water through it to fill that tank up as this tank fills back up. Another trick you can do, if you have a toilet like this, and say you have a little excessive waste in your toilet, you may want to, on some of these newer model toilets especially, they use very little water to create that vacuum to go out before the little flapper closes back down. What you'll want to do is you can actually just hold the lever down, it'll flush, and then it continues to add that water into it until it all drains out, and it gives you a little bit more water to carry that waste on down the pipe so you don't have any plug ups. That kind of helps you get rid of the little extra, because like I say, these new toilets, some of them will even come with 2 push buttons, one for liquid waste and one for solid waste. In a solid waste, we do not mean any kind of feminine hygiene products, nothing like that. The only thing that goes into a toilet is human waste and toilet paper in small quantities. If you're doing anything other than that, you're doing wrong. Please don't put your feminine projects and stuff like that, the wipes and all that you buy that say they're flushable, don't do it. They're not good for your septic tank especially. So you don't put anything in there, human waste, and in a little bit of toilet paper. That'll save you a lot of work down the road too. Trust me, I've cleared a lot of them. Okay, so let's say you have a toilet here and it's plugged up and you cannot get it to go down. Next thing we want to go into is when you flush your toilet and the bowl fills up but it doesn't go down. What's the first thing you do? If there's enough water in this tank that it could conceivably run over the top. So you do have to kind of know what you're doing to stop it from doing that. The first thing you're going to do is most of your toilets, in any new toilet, some people that'll live back in the old days, they didn't put shutoffs or anything. But up underneath your toilet here, you'll have a drain line that'll come out of here, or a fill line that goes down. And on the wall back here someplace there will be a valve, and you can shut that valve off, which will keep the water from coming back into your tank. The other way you can do it, if it doesn't have a shutoff valve, of course, is if you see it coming over it, you take your top off very quickly, reach in and pull up on your float arm. That'll stop the water from going in. And if you have to, if your little flapper is there, you can actually take and push that down. All the water in here this looks dirty, but it's very clean water. It's a fresh supply. There's a little bit of rust here from the handle and stuff that's settled in the bottom. But it's nothing that's going to kill you by any means. You can put your hand in this. You're not putting it in any kind of waste, that type of thing. Shut the water off. Keep the water from going into this. Otherwise, it's going to flow over. You're going to make a mess. If it's an upstairs toilet, you're going to see it in the downstairs, this type of thing. While you're holding this up, now you can simply stand over it and reach down and then shut your valve off. It's real quick to shut this one off. Much quicker to pull this up than it is to sit and turn that if it's a turning valve. The next thing you have to know about a toilet is if it does stop up. There's different types of plungers. This plunger for a toilet is about useless. This is a small sink drain type plunger. It'll do a little bit, maybe your shower drain. For a toilet, not much good. You're going to push on it, you put it in there, and you push it a little bit. It don't seal, it just mainly splatters water around a little bit. It sometimes will get you, but if I'm going to buy one, I'm going to get one of these. This is a toilet plunger. It's got a lot larger capacity to it. It's got a nice chute to the end of it. And a lot of times you'll buy these, those actually will probably be, when you get it, it'll look like this. But you pull that out and make sure you get it out. And then when you set it into your toilet, it fits down in there and creates a good thing. And you can see it just pushes that water out a whole bunch better, so you can get a good going on it. Now, I'm going to add a little bit more water to it. The plunging you want to do, though, if you got a problem, you don't want to just kind of baby it. You want to give it a good push, get that thing riled up, and when you pull it away, it'll siphon that thing on out of there and clean your toilet. But you need a good plunger. Go invest, a couple dollars in a good plunger. Keep that around. If you're going to buy a plunger, buy this one. Don't buy this one. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually used that and had success. This one will do both. If you are doing a sink or a small drain, you can set it in there just like the other one. Accomplish the same thing. Much better plunger. Let's see. Other than that, that's really basically everything you need to know about a toilet, I think. If you have any questions, comments, add to it, and we'll add to the video if we need to, or answer questions if you have them. That's the toilet.